websites have become an integral part of our daily lives. From shopping and socializing to learning and working, we interact with websites every day. But have you ever stopped to think about how they actually work? What goes on behind the scenes to bring a website to life on your screen? Whether you're just curious or looking to deepen your tech knowledge, this video will unravel the mysteries of websites for everybody. Let's dive in and explore the fascinating journey of websites from concept to screen. So what is a website? Well, put it simply, a website is nothing more than a collection of web pages and programs that are hosted on another machine that you can access through the internet. These pages are written in a language known as HTML, or Hypertext Markup Language, and they provide elements such as video players, images, text, in order to provide you the information that you need. Now, modern websites are obviously more interactive these days, and they also have unique themes and designs attributed to them, and that's where two other files come into play: JavaScript and CSS. Any button you click, any panel you hover over that opens, any comment or like that you post on YouTube or Instagram, these are all examples of interactions that JavaScript will handle. Any color, shapes, fonts, layouts, and even animations, those are all handled by CSS, or the cascading style sheet. Altogether, these files help make your experience enjoyable on the web. Now, I'll definitely be posting a video on each of these programming languages, so keep an eye out for that. I'll have them linked in the description once they're ready. But for now, how do we request these files? As I mentioned before, these files live on another machine known as a web server. You can think of a web server as a filing cabinet that holds all the files I just mentioned earlier. Now keep in mind, any computer can act as a web server. Yes, that includes the desktop or laptop that you're using right now to watch this video. Heck, even this little tiny Raspberry Pi microcomputer can act as a web server. Now, you've probably seen that big companies such as Meta, Google, all use these giant machines to host their content. But these computers act just like your normal computer. The only difference is that they have special features that help keep websites up and running no matter the circumstances. That could be things such as an overload of traffic, or even things like a power outage. Now, the job of a web server is to give you the correct pages and files that you've requested, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. Now, I mentioned before that websites are made up of HTML, JavaScript, and CSS files, but this is just the parts that you see. This is what we call the front end. Behind the scenes, in what we call the back end, there's a whole lot more that our friend, the web server, is doing for us. Let me introduce you to databases and web APIs. When you sign up for an online service like Instagram or Facebook, the information that you provide to them needs to be stored somewhere, and that somewhere is known as a database. A database simply keeps all your information stored in an organized fashion in order to make it easy to find. Now, the data you provide to these services needs to be processed in one way or another and served to you. That's the job of our friend, the web API, or the Web Application Programming Interface. A web API is nothing more than just a program that is running on your web server that waits for requests from you or anyone else in order to process the data you want. So those are the complete parts of a web server. But how do we interact with them? Well, the typical way you would interact with a website is through the web browser. These are your Microsoft Edge, your Google Chrome, your Safari, your Firefox, etc. A web browser allows you to enter the address of a website and allows you to view the contents of its web pages. When you enter the address of a website in the URL bar, your browser will perform something known as a DNS lookup to retrieve the IP address of the website you want to visit. If you want more information on this, be sure to check out my last video on how the internet works. Once it gets it, it will request that web page from the web server. It can either find the web page you want and send it to you directly, or before sending you the page, it can run a part of its API, which will go and fetch some information from the database, add it to the web page, and send all of that back to you together. Your browser will then get a response from the web server, download the web page, and display all of its contents to you. You can think of this whole process as you walking into a restaurant and ordering a plate of food. Think of the waiter as your web browser, and the menu items, the websites you want to visit. You give the waiter your order. This is you typing the address in the URL bar. Your waiter then takes your order to the kitchen. This is our web request. In our kitchen, aka our web server, the chef takes a look at your order and prepares everything that we need. This is our web API. He notes all of the ingredients he needs and walks to the fridge to get them. This fridge represents our database. He then proceeds to cook the food. This is our web API processing the data, then hands it back to the waiter who brings it back to you. This is our web browser then downloading the information, or the web pages. Then it's up to you to consume it the same way you would view your web pages. And that essentially is how websites work. Now, I want to show you how you can get started by creating your own website right here, right now on your own computer. Now, I just mentioned that web browsers can interact with the internet to view web pages from external servers, but they can actually also view web pages that are hosted directly on your computer. Let me show you a quick example of this. Follow along with me. Now, in order to create our basic website, we will be creating a basic HTML file. Now, to create a basic HTML file, you're going to need something known as a text editor. Now, there are many text editors that exist out in the world, and I'll get to those in a specific video later on. But for now, I'm just going to use the one that pretty much everybody has if you're using a Windows machine, and that's the Notepad. So let's go and take a look at this. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is create a little folder on our desktop or wherever you would like that's going to represent our project or our little website. So I'm just going to call this one test website, just like this. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is actually open up our text editor, in this case Notepad. So I'm going to open up Notepad, and now I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger so that everybody can see, and I'm going to paste in some code from my notes, but feel free to pause the video and take a look at it line by line if you'd like. So I'm going to paste this in there, remove these two lines over here, and in the body, where we're going to actually store the content of our website, we're just going to add a little paragraph tag, and inside of this paragraph, we're going to write, "Hello world," simply like this. And don't forget, you need to close this tag. Now, again, this is not a full-on tutorial in HTML. I just want to show you guys how quickly you can come up with a website, but I'll go into more details in a later video. So the next thing we want to do is click File, Save As, and let's go look for our folder. So I have that folder on my desktop, and I called it Test Websites. So we'll just open up this, and we will change this and call it testsite.html. Save it. Now, if we actually open, you can already see my computer detects that this is an HTML file, and it's saying that, oh, look, Google Chrome can open this. But if we want to, we can actually click on it and view our little web page. Now, isn't that great? This is the URL of our website, but it's local. So it's basically going to have a local file path to the actual web page. You can go ahead and do whatever you want in here and have fun with it. Doesn't look like much, but don't worry. This is just the beginning. We'll get to everything else that's pretty interesting in later videos. So that's it. Now you know the basics of websites. Now I'm only scratching the surface here, and I'll definitely be making more videos on this subject, as it's one of my main passions, so keep an eye out for that. But for now, that's all. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.